Hit too low. Now I can get started. Loading, 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 loading. Loading, 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 loading. Waiting on the game to finish. Loading. It doesn't seem to have even started yet. And everything is gonna be loading. Alright, almost done with the animal loading. You would be very proud. I did manage to get some leveling done up on Lene, and it's so. Oh, I mean, he's usable. That's more than I can say for most of the characters I have on this account. I guess I'll show him off first, or maybe I need to fight the crab first. Uh-oh. Definitely not the team to do this with. I mean, just to look at him, I don't. I just have him on the Skyward Harp for now, since that's basically the only 5-star build that I have. Um, I've seen a few people with the Ibis Piercer online, but it, I don't really know artifacts wise. I have 2-piece Wanderers, 2-piece Marchos Hunter with a crit damage circlet. Attack percent Goblet, because I don't have a Pyro Goblet yet. A attack percent Sands, a crit rate, crit damage Feather, and a crit damage Flower for now. I have others I can give him that'll give me better stats, but I just have him on that for now until, well, I mean, I might as well. I don't think I have any other free flowers. Oh, I have this one. Crit damages. Higher, quick rates higher. Yeah, I'll switch. Yeah. No constellations. Talents are about as high as I can get them right now with the free time I have. So, yeah, that's my Linnae. But for now, let's see. What can I use to fight the crab real quick? Might be relatively easy on here. I'll use this. We'll see how this goes, okay? Because my official does not have everything up to date. Um, what do I need exactly to get my official's weapon higher? Oh, need this. Which I can go do today, I guess. That wouldn't be too terrible of a thing.
Too slow. There is no escape! Busted!
Odd, reveal thyself!
Shine down! Quietly now.
This realm is no home for a princess.
I can't revive her yet.
Gotcha! Game's up. Time's over. There is no escape! Torn to oblivion! Transcend all constraints. Behold! Search for it. Unsightly insects. Quietly now. Take it easy. Illusion shattered. Under all sight. Follow me, Squall and Fury. Search for it. Dicey.
By royal decree.
Alright.
Seems like the stories here never happen.
Relax. Behold! Quit following me. Huh. The wind rises.
Well, we've ascertained the state of the crime scene. Let's find a place to sort out our findings once Malus returns. Seems to me that there are several things that don't add up.
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle.
So, what did the guards say? Did the criminal escape through the vent?
They believe the odds of that are very low, since the vent leads to the opera house. The guards have checked the area carefully. No one left through the basement during the performance or after the incident, and no one was found.
So the tunnels become like a secret chamber then. You know, like the
The plot thickens. Halsey's disappearance and Cowell's death are both quite inexplicable. No wonder Farina was so confident in her accusation. All the current evidence points toward Linny and Lynette.
In other words, the charges are very likely to be upheld unless we make some considerable progress.
charges and then trial. So if the charges are upheld, they'll announce a sentence?
That's right. This is how a trial goes in the Opera House. During the proceedings, the Chief Justice and the oratrice will hear statements from both sides. That's right. This is how indemnitium is produced. The statements from both sides, the defenses from attorneys, witness testimonies, and even the audience's emotions will all be projected on the oratrice. To put it simply, it's as if the oratrice has its own will and is a judge in its own right.
This also precludes any kind of favoritism on the part of the Chief Justice. Not that this has ever happened anyway.
Fascinating.
Once both sides have finished speaking, the Chief Justice will make his final decision. This, too, will be used by the oratrice as a reference. Then, finally, the oratrice will be consulted by officials. The result it returns is the will of justice itself.
Huh? So that machine is the one that actually decides? Paimon thought Neverlet called the shots.
In practice, there is very little difference. Both have always come to the same judgment, which is why people have great faith in the Chief Justice. Ah, yes, the guards also asked me to convey that none of us will be allowed to leave this place.
Huh? What?
Because we've chosen to act as the twins' proxies. That makes us...
They're concerned that we might be colluding with outside parties, or that we might find outside help to disrupt the case. And even if that were not so, it could prove problematic if we happen to spread key information about the case.
I'm ready to break out at any time.
Whoa, there's no need for that. Paimon thinks they have a point. That said, are they providing food?
Of course. I just hope you don't mind the lack of options. I'm afraid that catering to all tastes is not in the cards, nor is any guarantee of balanced nutrition.
Now's not the time to be picky.
In that case, let's just sort out our findings together here. Pity. I was hoping to take you to try some of Fontaine's famous desserts. I mean, what better way to properly think through our findings than over some tea and sweets?
Huh. Breaking out suddenly doesn't seem like such a bad idea after all. Just kidding, just kidding. Paimon will still do her best, even if there are no snacks.
Hmm? What do you mean, no snacks? Of course we'll have snacks. If we cannot buy some, then we'll simply make some.
Huh? Here? But how?
Understood, Demoiselle. Everyone, please come with me.
Wait, you're carrying a portable stove with you?
Yes, I must be prepared to meet the Demoiselle's baking needs whenever the fancy strikes her.
I have eggs, sugar, and almonds at the ready.
Good work, you two. Then I'll get to it. Please sit tight for a moment. You'll get...
These three are quite the interesting group. And Paimon thought it smelled good while it was still in the oven. Oh, it's even better now. Paimon can't stop drooling. From the way you had these two guys carrying all that stuff around, Paimon thought you'd have them do more during the baking process. But you ended up doing the entire thing by yourself. Beating the egg whites, grinding almonds, everything.
I was applauding.
And I was giving encouraging smiles.
Paimon was just thinking. Aren't you worried about getting your fancy dress dirty, beating egg whites and baking like this?
Well, I don't think it's carved in stone anywhere that fancy ladies can only read books, sip tea, ride horses, and play the piano. I just really enjoy making snacks. Don't underestimate beating egg whites, by the way. It's a real arm workout. You also need to beat them to just the right consistency, or your macarons will crack. Anyway, give these a try, fresh out of the oven. There's 3 for each of us.
Only 3?
Well, eating too many sweet treats might send all that sugar to your head. You wouldn't be able to think clearly about the case on a sugar rush, would you?
Tea is ready to be served as well. This is Demoiselle's favorite, strong black tea with a floral fragrance that clears the mind and lifts the spirit.
Why don't you take a break
No
as well?
need for concern. I merely...
Okay.
All right then. Down to business. As Paimon mentioned previously, the tunnel seems to be something of a secret chamber. However, we can assume that Linny and Lynette were not alone within it. Some criminal, the magician twins could have committed the crimes, of course, but they lack any logical motive.
Exactly! Why would they do such a thing right when everyone was watching?
The flower vase and the thud we heard during the performance could indicate some altercation between Halsey and the criminal in the tunnel, resulting in the shattering of the vase, the discarding of her clothes, and her abduction. Perhaps the criminal thought that since she was chosen from the crowd, she would be too easy to identify if she was still wearing the same clothes.
Paimon thinks that makes sense, but the real trouble is...
True. None of the clues we found thus far support the existence of this third person, but the only people left to consider are both technically victims. Whether it's the missing girl, Halsey...
Huh. Could Halsey have secretly made modifications to the magic props in order to murder Cowell before making her escape?
That's right. And even if she had tampered with the setup, she would need to understand the entire trick to pull it off. Nor does she have any motive. The guard said that she has never had any dealings with the Magic Troop's members.
Were we not thorough enough in our search? From the sound of things, this is turning into an impossible. Your macarons are amazing though, Navia. They smell great! They're nice and crisp and super...
They are my specialty after all. And I see you've already had 5 of them.
What? 5? Oh, that can't be right. Paimon only counted 3, honest!
Please don't worry about it. At my age, a few less sweets might actually be a good thing.
No. Being greedy is one thing, but Paimon knows how to count. Besides, Paimon that if she ate too many, then others wouldn't have enough. Wait, even you don't believe Paimon? How could you? If
No.
Paimon ate those 2 extra macarons, then may they turn into stone in her stomach!
All right, we get it. Well, I suppose what, Maloose? Set up the stove again, if you will.
Huh?
Making sure everyone gets 3 macarons, of course.
Exactly. We don't want to...
As you wish, the what?
And I have the egg, sugar, and almonds.
Well, this...
Well, that's it for snack time. I don't know what we're looking for yet. It would be awkward if you got all tongue-tied on...
Alright, thanks for your help!
It was nothing. A small task for the Spina di Rosula. Silver, Maloose, it's time to go. I'll be back if I find anything new.
Neither had motive, but a crime happened
Alright,
anyway.
it's time to put our heads together. We've got to get our defense ready for the trial. Oh, it's probably gonna be a long and difficult case. There's no point in worrying about that now. We just need to prepare.
The best minigame. Well, waiting game.
There's no such thing as pure freedom in this world. Even the wind cannot blow on forever.
Another one, let's get rid of all the red exclamation points. Do we have enough to wish? No. So no wishing this stream, I guess. I have a lot of stuff to do.
Relax.
What do we do? The whole situation is so confusing.
I do have some thoughts, but let's take things step by step.
Good plan. Impossible things don't just happen. Look,
Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lenny and Lynette, at least... Besides, I doubt Farina understands any more about what happened than...
thanks, Navia. Well,
Best of luck to you.
I feel like Farina and Navia had some kind of friendship in the past that's been soured.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No, no. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed. Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede so easily.
Just you wait.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Linney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all? Nothing that might...
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something's not right here.
How could Lene not know about that?
Yeah,
sound?
I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box, and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Indeed, it seems his alibi can also collapse in the blink of an eye. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid. Tell
Zongli
me,
isn't even here.
aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
The House of the Hearth?
There. Fatui? What?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it.
The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. This. Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
Serena is the best.
Hey, Linny!
I'm
Why
just
didn't you tell
listening.
us this before?
Order! Order! Mr. Linney, allow me to First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true? Please answer my question.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted.
Listen to speak, Your Honor. My client has withheld some key information.
In that case, what is your request?
I request a brief adjournment. There are things that must be discussed.
Is that really necessary?
The defendant deceived their own attorney.
Order! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn.
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense even after knowing what you do now? In that case, my dear audience...
Brum, 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 brum.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry. Paimon doesn't know where to start. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad!
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make you upset. But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities.
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to.
But how can we know this isn't all just another lie?
Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not in this case.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but...
Where did you actually go while the trick was being performed?
Right. Let's hear your answer first.
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences? During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick, with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the...
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreat. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to get... After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole truth. I swear, I didn't It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud. But like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because...
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
I believe in the facts. I will defend you from these charges.
Okay.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against... If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a... Huh?
The adjournment's almost over. Let's go back.
Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Many claims that he headed to the chamber containing the Orator's core upon entering the tunnel, did not witness the crime taking place, and thus did not hear the thud. Many claims to have heard a mysterious voice within the chamber that houses the Orator's core within the Opera House's underground structures. The brief adjournment ends, and the nail-biting trial reconvenes.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective.
Based on the opposition's account of events, you can identify loopholes in their statement. Used evidence includes obtained during the investigation to refute any erroneous assertions right? Use your refutations to convince the audience to obtain more support from the people. The orators will display the six clearly. When you find and refute all incorrect content, you can complete the cycle of refutation and unveil the truth.
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is what... Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing... At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident. And there you have it.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events, what Linney experienced, and... Seem... According to Linney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey. Linny went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This... Linny did not take part in the underground altercation.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say!
Objection!
When the countdown started, Linny did indeed go into the tunnel.
Why don't they have Aether's
But he
voice actor do this?
immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent! Paimon did it! Paimon...
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing.
That's right!
Moreover, I believe my opposition's reasoning is flawed.
My reasoning?
On-stage equipment was clearly tampered with in a premeditated fashion. However, you say that Cal bumped into Lene by chance.
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've met...
Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims?
Do you happen to remember how you refuted Lene's alibi initially?
Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
Your claim has now become my weapon.
That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Linny had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Paimon
Well
is so
played.
precious.
To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The murderer was. The guard's investigation report indicates that there are fireworks releases. He's near the end of the cell ignited and burned through the ropes suspending a water tank above the stage, which caused the water tank to fall and kill Carl in the box. If Lene is no longer under suspicion, only member of the troupe would have been able to tamper with the props. Only gauges an account of how the trick was supposed to work. By using a box inside a box, the idea was for the box containing the audience member to be transported supposed to be a tunnel underneath, and Lene himself would also use this tunnel to get to the other side. Having changed her outfit, Lynette and her assistant would take charge of on-stage interactions. The clothes belonging to Halsey, the lady who went missing, were found in the tunnel. The reason for this remains unknown.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Could there have been a third person involved? The deceased's name is Cowell.
He's the only other one that had access to the props.
That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so?
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. So where... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Linny as well. Linny was not in the tunnel at... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. No one entered or left the Opera House. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would...
Who was the prime suspect?
The deceased's name is Cowell.
Where did the missing Halsey go?
No one entered or left the Opera House. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel.
The criminal must have even aside how he died. Cowell needs to commit the crime at his disposal. The strange voice could likely have been the sound of Cowell and Halsey struggling. Lene was not in the tunnel for one. It would have been. According to the guard's testimony, no one entered the Opera House. Even there's no means of exiting. Exiting from the box would have been full view of the audience, pretty much guaranteed.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
I see how it is.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits. It's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear.
Escaping from the water tank. Could it have been the water?
Excuse my interruption, dear opponent, but do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Hold it.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave up. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. The vase was not broken by chance. It was...
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
I requested we examine Cal's personal effects. We might find something there.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Linny already knows this magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real.
Even so, I trust the travelers. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but...
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me?
Mademoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. But still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal heart! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
Water from the primordial sea, the liquid of the guards found in Cal's luggage seems to have the ability to dissolve Fontainians into water.
The deceased's name is Cowell. And now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of triggering mechanism. The water from the primordial sea Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. Did she have something to do with... I remember there was something... The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. As such, Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire... I remember there was something else within the...
The balloons.
Ahem. It's Ace Detective Paimon's time to shine again! In the original plan, Cowl would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowl would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What? That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close. Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit and ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and ruthless organization. Am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no way for us to make a rebuttal here. Is this the end of...
Oh no! Paimon can't... seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
The
Why did this
voice.
have to happen now?
think I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good... excuse me, everyone, but I must...
Miss, I must ask you not to shout, and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Linney, if you would be so kind.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
Click.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So, the whole thing about people
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, and then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowell. I admit it.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Lenny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on to me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
They're practice hand at concealment, probably.
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
Yeah, now it's time to refute the Hydro Archon's previous
This
reasoning.
time, we need to tell the entire story from Lily-Ann's perspective.
Well, I know this is most likely this. Well, is this it? Okay.
The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was Lillian's attempt to break out. The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was smashed during the struggle between Lillian and Cowell.
Good house is good.
Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian had not dissolved. He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing, mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect. He tried to force Lillian back into the box. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top, knocking Cowell out and putting him in the box. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended. She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the Opera House these last 2 days.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about...
At this point, all the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story.
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak against the defense's statements? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
Wow.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No. I have no further arguments. I admit defeat.
Wow. Look at that.
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen. To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused, is in fact innocent. While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery, but false evidence?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yeah? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-ups said this was the best opportunity.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and...
Yes! I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration. We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent more off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about. The...
Turned into water.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
Oh, but nothing's found.
So, we're just going back now?
We're not needed here anymore.
True.
Traveler, Paimon, please wait.
Winnie.
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui.
I just didn't wish to see anyone be falsely
I guess. But regardless, I'd like the I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Linny this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, would you mind, back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wanting to survive. I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing... I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to... To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me before long. An aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic tricks. He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the...
It took a while for me to... After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the Knave standing there in the darkness.
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans. Father, I mean, the Knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted. I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed by nobles. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our...
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
That's all in the past, though. Nate is having the gnosis, isn't she?
She has her own plans. She has gained permission from the Sarita to first use the Gnosis's power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
So, she believes in that prophecy?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat that crisis. Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophet. All of us house members here, Lady Arlecchino herself included, are from Fontaine. We won't give up on defending our homeland. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family, is our homeland.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. I understand. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that if you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Linny.
I understand. Now I just have to leave the opera house, and I'm sure
Follow
nothing
me.
else bad is going to happen.
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Don't you think so, too?
I'm sorry, Navi.
Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
I was really only trying to defend Lenny.
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the Hydro Archon's people to follow now.
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
It's okay, Navi.
Don't say that, Navia.
Ah, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and the reflection in the murk to become clearer. Well, sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Don't mind me. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
Let's go have that
You
meal
don't
then.
have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navia's treating, count Paimon in.
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time for dinner.
All right then, let's have our farewell meal.
Is that enough for a wish? No, not quite. If I... Yeah. Yeah.
There's no need to exchange pleasantries. It's rather pathetic to force a conversation just to occupy...
Didn't even know these were here.
I came here several times with my father when I was little. But stopped eating here as often after growing up. I hope the food here will be to your taste.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while. Paimon's getting excited already.
In that case, I'll go order for us first. Please wait here a moment.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in Fontaine sure know how to enjoy life.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of Spina di Rosula next time.
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone.
Yeah. Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right?
It was a pleasure working with you.
True. Very true. In that case, boss, we'll have another 2 dishes.
Huh? Paimon did... Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon now that this has all happened?
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young women, but we still don't...
If it hadn't happened right in front of us...
Right? Yet it was because this was such a preposterous...
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking!
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem... To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might... It's not that I don't have faith in their ability. It's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. A shift in thinking is which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exists. Those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where filth falls through, where their watch fails them. That's the kind of problems we solve.
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal, so I doubt you have further interest in this business, right? Let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
We wanted to ask the Hydro Archon for some information, but we haven't had much opportunity to do so.
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't really seem like the right time or place to do it anyway.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been foiled so far, was to have a chat with the Hydro Archon. I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while, considering that you missed your chance today.
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting any of her time.
Well, would you consider some more, unique ways? Perhaps even methods of, let's say, questionable legality?
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of sketchy ideas. Well, what did you have in mind?
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play, don't you think?
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard to pull off. We'd have to go learn how to act, and acting's really hard.
All right, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed. Then, wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions. I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long as I can finally get some sleep.
I don't think that'll go over
That
pretty
might
well.
work, but that's not really the problem. The problem is we don't want to get ourselves arrested.
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep.
How can you overlook something like that?
All right, no more joking around. Huh. Perhaps you could... Oh, I don't know. Cut the line when she's on a break. You did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations. False accusations she had nearly upheld personally. I imagine that she feels quite ashamed about...
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense.
It's
Why
worth a
don't
try.
we give it a try after this meal? You know.
Huh? Paimon, did you drink my Fanta?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really paying attention.
No, it's fine. We're just about done.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fanta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Huh. Well, in that case, we'll have to blacklist... If we're all finished eating, then I'll go...
Yeah, we're stuck.
Wait, is Fontaine just a sports drink or something?
Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore.
You could try walking, you know.
That would be so... normal. You know, like you.
Okay. As for expenses this...
Hey, Navia! What are you doing?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to try...
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in any case, I wish you...
See ya!
I'm sure in the next year nothing bad will happen.
Squall and Fury!
There aren't many people around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Araneas might have been the last one.
Vacher.
Looks like we're back here again. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices again?
It's clearer than it was during the day.
That's kind of spooky.
Vacher? Vacher.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? There might be something nasty in the water.
I can feel strong emotions.
Hang on. Paimon can kind of hear a voice. It's calling for Vacher, right? Hey, traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Where is this?
Vacher! Are you... my dear Vacher? No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vacher?
I'm afraid not.
Wait. Who am I? My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide.
never to be recovered. How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten?
You were once human?
Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I am but the consciousness of one who is lost, therefore. I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water, and then all grew dim. I also remember going to many places. I loved adventure. No matter where I went, Vacher would go with me. I knew how dearly he loved me. But now, we can no longer go back. The pain of such parting. No, our reunion no longer has any meaning. There is no way. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the wall. If you meet Vacher, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move. Perhaps that is so. As I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness, I saw Vacher above this. If only I could have comforted him. Told him that I did not suffer. Is that what you call it? Dissolving. If anything, I consider it a form of release. It was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace, like the water's still surface. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless want and anxiety.
Some measure of the consciousness still remains.
I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go,
Alright, I wonder how much time has passed in reality.
Farewell, then.
Wake up! Come on, hurry! Nami is outnumbered!
What happened while I was...
Demoiselle, look out!
White
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand?
He's using Iron Stain.
Quick, now's our chance!
What's with that little smile, eh?
I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Chlorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely as of late.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking, is it not?
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust.
Do not speak of my father!
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid—
Sorry, I did not consider your feelings.
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in grave danger?
I doubt I know much more than you, but I believe that the mastermind behind the serial... Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against me. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with the Maison Gardiennage could control them.
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to enforce. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means, deploying them as a private force of sorts.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not act rashly.
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That's my father's true last... Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clorand. But if you get any ideas, tell me first. I don't much appreciate being followed.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you. Good day, all.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clorand was being sincere with you. If we tried, we could attempt to thaw relations a little.
I know, I just... She's...
They're very Yang and Blake coded, if you catch my drift.
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done for! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us! Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clorand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, so you're a fighter now, Paimon.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, I hope that as such, we're still partners. There's no need to thank me.
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosula on account of her goodwill.
All right, you two. That's enough.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger? You sure did show up in the nick of time.
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed somehow? Ooh, Paimon's even more amazing than she thought!
Yes, all thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky.
You mean that?
Fanta only comes in sweet flavors. So how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall...
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial?
Yes. So if you hadn't drunk that cup for me...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for saving the boss.
Huh? Really?
sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate. That's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and hurried here as quickly as I could.
But why would they go after us too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help clear his name. Ugh, now we're caught up in this mess too, aren't we?
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process. Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial seawater?
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. He said that he heard that voice calling for Vache again. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too, but it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater then?
Sensitivity to the hydro level.
Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While...
Well, let's hear it, shall we?
On to one of the missing women. A person named Vacher was a witness when she dissolved.
Oh, that is important. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he have been threatened?
We should try searching for
Yes,
him.
thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate.
By we, you mean us too, right?
You mean you'll help us investigate?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Messing with us will cost them. This will prove their biggest
Demoiselle,
mistake.
do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula, after all.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? I'll arrange accommodations for you. We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But we'll take that one step at a time, I guess.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
How much should we get? Not enough for what's this stream, but maybe next time. Alright, that's where I'm gonna call it for this week. I hope everyone had a good time, and you guys have a good week until I see you next.